Have you ever wondered why some men leave women speechless in the bedroom, while others, despite their best efforts, struggle to create that spark of irresistible pleasure? The truth is, satisfying a woman intimately is not about being the strongest or the most experienced. It's about knowing the right technique, the right rhythm, and the right way to control her arousal so that she feels completely consumed in the moment. And here's the hook. There's one specific oral technique that has been described by sex therapists, relationship coaches, and even medical doctors as the most powerful tool to make women crave more and more. This is known as the start-stop method. And once you learn how to apply it correctly, it can transform the way a woman experiences intimacy with you. Before I reveal the science and secrets behind this powerful method, make sure you hit that subscribe button to our channel, Dr. Kayla, Health Tips, because we bring you the most eye-opening, informative, and life-changing tips about sexual health, intimacy, and overall wellness that you won't find anywhere else. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on what's coming up next. Now, let's dive right into it. When it comes to intimacy, many men assume that faster, harder, and longer is always better. But the reality is that women's bodies don't respond to stimulation the same way men's bodies do. A man can often be aroused quickly and reach climax in a matter of minutes. But for most women, pleasure is a journey, one that builds gradually with peaks and valleys, anticipation and suspense. This is where the start-stop method comes in, because it focuses on building arousal in waves, rather than rushing straight to the finish line. Think of it like riding a roller coaster. The excitement doesn't come from reaching the end of the ride, but from the twists, the turns, and the slow climb that builds suspense before the thrilling drop. Women's bodies work in a similar way. They crave variety, teasing, and pauses that make the eventual climax exponentially more powerful. So, what exactly is the start-stop method when it comes to oral pleasure? In simple terms, it's a rhythm of stimulation where you start arousing her with your tongue or lips, then deliberately slow down or pause just when her body is heating up. At first, this might sound counterintuitive. Why stop when she's enjoying it? But here's the secret. When you briefly stop or reduce stimulation, right as she's about to peak, her body doesn't calm down. Instead, her arousal levels continue to rise internally. It's like pulling back a bowstring. The longer you hold it, the more powerful the release will be. By mastering this technique, you create an intense buildup that makes her eventual orgasm not just stronger, but unforgettable. To understand why this works, you need to know a little bit about female arousal. Women's sexual response involves both physical and psychological stimulation. The brain plays a massive role, and anticipation is one of the strongest triggers for pleasure. When you pause during oral, her brain enters a state of heightened sensitivity. She starts craving more. Her blood flow to the genital area increases, and her nerve endings become extra responsive. Then when you start again, even with lighter movements, the pleasure feels amplified. Imagine turning up the volume on your favorite song every few seconds. That's what happens inside her body when you use the start-stop method. Another reason this technique is so powerful is because it creates a sense of control and surrender. When you're the one pacing her arousal, she feels like you're guiding her into deeper and deeper waves of sensation. At the same time, the pauses make her feel like she's begging for more, like she can't get enough of your touch. This dynamic not only heightens physical pleasure, but also builds emotional intimacy, because she feels completely seen and desired. It's not just about finishing. It's about making her feel like the center of your attention, like her pleasure is the most important thing in the world. Now, before you rush to try this, here's something crucial: the start-stop method is not about being mechanical or robotic. It's not about stopping at random times or counting seconds. It's about reading her body, listening to her breathing, and paying attention to every subtle sign she gives you. When she arches her back, when her breathing quickens, when her thighs tighten around your head, those are signals that she's approaching a peak. That's when you either slow down, switch to lighter strokes, or pull back for just a few seconds before diving in again. Done right, this will make her so desperate for release that by the time you finally let her reach climax, she will experience a level of satisfaction that very few men ever give her. Let's put this into perspective with an example. Imagine you're gently stimulating her with your tongue, circling slowly and steadily. After a minute or two, her moans get louder, her body tenses, and you can tell she's close. Instead of pushing through to make her finish right then, you pull back. Maybe shift your focus slightly, kissing her thighs, using your fingers lightly, or even just hovering close without touching. At first, she might feel frustrated, But that's the point. That frustration is what heightens her desire. When you return to full stimulation after those teasing pauses, the sensations are magnified, and her body is primed for a mind-blowing release. This isn't just technique. It's art. It's control. And it's knowing how to make her feel like no one else ever has. Many men underestimate just how powerful anticipation is in a woman's sexual experience. But think about it. Almost every romance novel, every fantasy, every secret desire women confess revolves around the slow burn, the teasing, the almost but not yet moments that make their heart race. The start-stop method taps directly into this psychology, making you not just a lover, but the kind of unforgettable partner she will brag about to her friends, dream about when you're not around, and crave again and again. And the best part? This method isn't complicated. You don't need to be a sex expert or have years of experience. You just need patience, attentiveness, and the willingness to prioritize her experience over your own ego. When you do that, you create a dynamic where she feels cherished, desired, and completely satisfied. And that's what makes her beg for more. When it comes to intimacy, most people underestimate how much science actually goes into creating peak sexual experiences. The start-stop method may sound like a playful bedroom trick, but in reality, it is grounded in years of research about human arousal, nerve sensitivity, and psychological response. Understanding the why behind this method is what makes it so effective. Because once you know the mechanisms at work, you can apply it more confidently and with far better results. Let's break it down in a way that's simple and practical. First, let's talk about the nervous system. Women's bodies are wired with thousands of nerve endings in the clitoral region. In fact, the clitoris has over 8,000 nerve fibers, which is more than double the number found in the head of the penis. That means it's the most sensitive erogenous zone in the human body. When you provide continuous stimulation to this area, those nerve endings fire rapidly, sending signals to the brain that create intense waves of pleasure. However, if the stimulation is too direct, too fast, or too continuous, the nerves can become overstimulated, leading to desensitization or even discomfort. This is where the start-stop method comes in. By pausing or changing rhythm, you give those nerve endings a brief rest, which actually resets their sensitivity, making the next round of stimulation feel even stronger. Now let's look at the psychology. Female arousal is not just about physical stimulation. It's also deeply connected to the brain. Studies in sexual health consistently show that women experience greater pleasure when anticipation is involved. The start-stop method creates what psychologists call erotic tension. This is the same principle behind why foreplay is so powerful, and the waiting, the teasing. The delayed gratification builds suspense, and suspense enhances the final reward. When you stop right before she reaches the edge, her brain shifts into a state of craving. Dopamine levels spike, anticipation rises, and when you start again, her mind and body respond with amplified sensitivity. This combination of nervous system, reset, and psychological tension is what makes the method so effective. Now let's get into the actual techniques. Many men make the mistake of thinking the start-stop method is just about completely stopping stimulation. But in reality, stopping can mean several things. It might mean slowing down to very gentle, almost teasing strokes with your tongue. It might mean switching from the clitoris to her inner thighs or lips to build anticipation. Or it could mean using your fingers lightly in combination with oral teasing. The goal isn't to shut everything down. The goal is to keep her arousal hovering, right below climax so that she's teetering on the edge. Think of it like balancing on a tightrope. You want her to feel like she's about to fall into the abyss of orgasm, but you're keeping her balance just a little longer. That edge play is what makes the eventual release explosive. Timing is also critical. If you pause too early, before she's really aroused, it won't have much effect. If you wait too long and she actually peaks before you pull back, you lose the buildup. The sweet spot is when her body starts giving you those unmistakable signals: rapid breathing, involuntary moaning, her pelvis tilting toward you, her thighs tightening around your head. Those are signs she's close, and that's when you gently pull back. Don't stop for too long. Even 5 to 15 seconds can be enough. The idea is not to cool her down, but to build her up. Then, when you resume, even light stimulation feels like fire. Another variation of the start-stop method involves mixing intensity levels. You might begin with light, slow movements, then gradually increase pressure and speed, only to suddenly switch back to lighter, slower movements just when she's getting close. This contrast drives her wild. because the brain is wired to respond more strongly to changes than to constant, predictable patterns. By alternating intensity, you keep her guessing, and that unpredictability heightens the arousal even further. Let's also consider the emotional benefits. Women often report that one of the most frustrating experiences in intimacy is when a partner rushes, focusing only on finishing rather than enjoying the process. The start-stop method sends a powerful message. You are willing to take your time, focus on her, and make her pleasure the priority. This builds trust, intimacy, and emotional connection. For many women, feeling desired and prioritized is just as important as the physical sensations themselves. When you show that kind of control and attentiveness, it makes her feel deeply valued, which amplifies the overall experience. Now, you might be wondering, are there any risks or downsides? The truth is, not really, as long as you're paying attention to her responses. Some women may get frustrated with too many pauses, so communication is key. Ask her how she likes it. Some women love very long build-ups, while others prefer shorter teasing sessions. The beauty of the start-stop method is its flexibility. You can adjust it to suit her unique desires, and the more you practice, the better you get at reading her body language and customizing the experience. One of the most overlooked benefits of this method is how it affects the intensity of her orgasms. Research has shown that women who experience extended buildup through teasing or start-stop techniques are more likely to have what's called multiple orgasms. Instead of one short climax, her body can experience wave after wave of release because the heightened arousal primes her nervous system for repeated responses. This is why many women say that partners who use the start-stop method give them the most unforgettable experiences of their lives. There's also an added benefit for men. While this method is primarily designed to enhance female pleasure, it indirectly improves male performance too. How? Because when you practice slowing down, teasing, and controlling her arousal, you also train yourself to last longer and pace yourself better. This reduces anxiety about performance and increases confidence, which is a win-win for both partners. Let's illustrate this with a practical example. Imagine you've been stimulating her for several minutes, and she's on the verge of climax. You slow down, maybe shift to kissing her thighs, whispering something teasing in her ear, or using your hands lightly while your mouth takes a break. She might whine, moan, or even beg you to continue, and that's exactly the point. That begging, that craving, means you've tapped into her psychological arousal. Then, when you go back with full intensity, she's already so wound up that her orgasm hits harder and lasts longer. That moment of release feels almost overwhelming, and she will associate that experience with you as the partner who gave her something extraordinary. So when you look at the start-stop method as a whole, it's not just a technique, it's an art form. It's about blending science, psychology, and empathy into a single experience. You're not just stimulating her body, you're stimulating her mind, her emotions, and her deepest desires. That's why women who experience this often describe it as addictive. They can't get enough of it, and they'll always crave it from the partner who knows how to deliver it. Now that you understand the science and techniques behind the start-stop method, let's talk about how you can actually apply it in real life and make it a consistent part of your intimate experiences. Because the truth is, no matter how much knowledge you gain, it only becomes valuable when you put it into practice. The good news is that mastering this technique doesn't require years of experience or complicated moves. It's about developing awareness, patience, and the ability to pay attention to your partner's signals. Let's go step by step. The first step is to set the right mindset. Too many men enter the bedroom with performance, anxiety, the fear of not lasting long enough, not being good enough, or not being able to make their partner climax. This anxiety is often the very thing that ruins the experience. Instead, shift your focus away from performance and toward exploration. Think of intimacy as a journey, not a race. When you remind yourself that the goal is to build connection and pleasure, not just to finish, you automatically reduce pressure and become more present in the moment. The start-stop method fits perfectly into this mindset because it forces you to slow down and really engage with your partner's body instead of rushing through the motions. Second, practice patience. Women's bodies are not like light switches that turn on instantly. Arousal builds gradually, and if you want her to experience mind-blowing pleasure, you need to allow her body the time it needs to fully warm up. This means starting slow, gentle kisses, light teasing, touching other parts of her body before going straight to oral. When you finally get there, you've already built anticipation, and that's when the start-stop method becomes truly effective. Third, learn to read her signals. Every woman is different, but there are universal signs that she's approaching. Orgasm. Her breathing becomes faster and deeper. Her hips start to move in rhythm with your tongue. Her thighs tighten, and she might grip the sheets or your hair. These cues are your roadmap. The moment you see them intensify, that's when you slow down or pause. You don't need to stop completely. You can switch to lighter strokes or move your attention elsewhere for a few seconds. The magic is in timing. Pull back just enough to build frustration, then return with intensity to send her over the edge. Fourth, experiment with variety. One of the biggest mistakes men make in oral sex is repeating the same movement over and over. At first it feels good, but after a while the body adapts, and the stimulation loses intensity. The start-stop method allows you to add variety naturally. For example, after pausing, you might change the angle of your tongue, alternate between wide licks and focused strokes, or combine oral with light finger play. This unpredictability keeps her on her toes, wondering what's coming next, which heightens the pleasure even more. From a woman's perspective, this method is not just physically satisfying, it's emotionally powerful. Many women report that when their partner takes control with techniques like this, they feel deeply desired and prioritized. They sense that the man is fully tuned into their body, not distracted or rushing. That feeling of being the center of attention creates emotional intimacy, which enhances the physical sensations. For many women, this combination of emotional connection and physical pleasure is what makes the experience unforgettable. It's not just about the orgasm. It's about feeling worshipped, valued, and safe enough to let go completely. There are, of course, several myths surrounding oral techniques and the start-stop method that we should clear up. Myth number 1, stopping will kill the mood. The truth is, if you do it correctly, stopping doesn't kill the mood. It builds it. The pause isn't about shutting everything down. It's about heightening anticipation. Myth number 2, women just want you to keep going until they finish. While this may be true for some, the majority of women actually enjoy the teasing and suspense. They may act frustrated in the moment, but that frustration is part of the arousal process that makes the final climax so powerful. Myth number 3, this technique is only for experienced lovers. Not true. Anyone can learn it, and in fact, beginners often see amazing results because they're willing to pay attention and learn. Another important fact to remember is that the start-stop method isn't just about oral sex. Once you master it with your tongue, you can apply the same principle to other forms of intimacy, manual stimulation, intercourse, even kissing. The rhythm of building, pausing, and resuming can be used in countless ways to keep arousal levels climbing higher and higher. This makes you a more versatile lover overall, someone who knows how to keep things exciting and deeply pleasurable across the board. Practical tip: communication is everything. While the element of surprise is part of what makes the start-stop method so effective, it's also important to make sure your partner is comfortable with the teasing. Some women absolutely love being kept on edge. Others prefer a faster build. Ask her how she feels afterward, what she liked, and what she might want more of. The more you talk about it openly, the more tailored your technique will become, and the more she'll appreciate your effort to make her experience as incredible as possible. One final thing to keep in mind is consistency. Women often say that one great experience isn't enough. They want consistency. The more you practice the start-stop method, the more natural it will feel, and the more she'll begin to trust that you can give her the kind of pleasure she craves every time. This builds not only sexual satisfaction, but also a deeper bond in the relationship, because she associates intimacy with excitement, passion, and fulfillment, rather than stress or disappointment. So, if you truly want to take your skills to the next level, remember this. The start-stop method is not just about pausing and starting again. It's about control, patience, and understanding the unique language of your partner's body. It's about blending science with art, turning simple, oral sex into an unforgettable experience that makes her crave you again and again. When done correctly, this method doesn't just make women beg for more. It makes them trust you, respect you, and desire you in ways that few men ever achieve. And before we wrap up, let me leave you with this. If you've found this guide helpful, and if you want to keep learning techniques and secrets that can transform not only your sex life, but also your overall health and relationships, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now to our channel. Dr. Kayla, Health Tips. We are here to bring you the most informative, Honest and powerful advice that will help you grow in every area of your life. Trust me, you don't want to miss the incredible content we have lined up next.